and it would hurt like hell to stamp on.
That's the start of our recording. So
it's a caltrop. You could just sharpen it with a file.
You've jumped in at the perfect moment if you're watching this video. Hi, I'm Shane. I use they, them pronouns. This is the 14th session of our Impossible Landscapes game, the Delta Green campaign. Should also mention that as the agents explore the Whisper Labyrinth, I've been drawing just as much or more on Emmy Allen's Stygian Library, a fantastic gaming product, as on Impossible Landscapes itself. This game and series was organised as part of the Open Hearth gaming calendar. Open Hearth is an online community that plays and discusses lots of role-playing games, especially Indian story games. And you can find out more or come play a game with us if you go to openhearthgaming.com. Going to start out by asking the players to introduce themselves and their agents. Mark, why don't you lead us off this week?
Hello, my name is Mark. My pronouns are he, him, and they, them, and I'm playing Elena Anisimov, whose pronouns are she, her, who is going to very shortly hear what happens, or hear her whisper bottle. And I'm super excited for that. I hope that she doesn't die before the climax, so we're gonna go with that. Also, married to one Sarah Bradford, and we'll see how that mess is going to end.
Awesome. Thank you. Blake.
G'day, I'm Blake here. Him, currently playing Felix Straussman, a teacher, physicist, former criminal, walker through mirrors, and fighter of crime with these do-gooders. Question mark.
Fighter / committer of crimes, I would have said.
Yeah, I was trying to make it nice.
All right. Thank you. Puckett?
Hey there, my name is Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing the aforementioned Sarah Bradford, who is married to Yelena Anisimov, and she's had a bit of a life. Started off as an art forger to piss off her parents, and then managed to get kicked out of Harvard, even though she was a legacy, and continued her forging, but got tied up with Delta Green, and weird stuff happened, and she basically dove headlong into the occult, learned as much as she could about it, and tried to do as little to do with Delta Green as she could until all this shit happened. And, well, here we are on the shore of a lake, across the lake from a city, and we appear to be in Carcosa. I hate it. I hate everything about this.
Well, are you going to enjoy the rest of this session? Thank you. Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm playing Tara Reinhardt. She who's a fire chief and who got involved in this in order to try to initially to just spare her family the weirdness, and now she would be content just to give them something, any sort of life at all, given the fact that it's become clear that if Carcosa comes apart, then our own reality may come apart too.
Awesome, thank you all. So to recap where we left off, you have found your way into the Whisper Labyrinth, which is this sort of strange space that is somehow both a bookshop and a city filled with bottles with strange revelatory powers. And you came here looking for the author's bottle in particular, which you understand must be opened at the masquerade by the person who will have written the play that is the power behind all the weirdness you've encountered over the last 20 years or so. And that if you don't bring the author's bottle to a potential author, as Brandon said, the play will not be written, Carcosa and the King in Yellow will cease to exist, and because our world is a mere projection cast by the play, our world and everyone in it will also cease to have ever existed. As we finished, you had found yourself in a portion of the labyrinth where the narrow passages between the shelves open onto this vast, misty lake with an ancient rowboat drawn up onto ground and sort of roped to one of the bookshelves. Deep below the surface of the lake, you can see the lights of a city. Something is coming. You can hear the sound of maybe half a dozen people or whatever they are, people, not people, approaching rapidly. Sarah just discovered Yelena's bottle, and Yelena had just opened it, and that's where we'll be starting today. But before we find out what was in Yelena's bottle, is there anything that anyone wants to add or ask about what's happening or where we're up to? All right. So, Yelena, I'm going to tell you the words the bottle whispers to you, and then a little about the sort of impressions and realizations that wash over you as you hear them. So, when you open the bottle, what it whispers to you is Project Carcosa never ended. And you have had an understanding for a long time that Project Carcosa was this Soviet project investigating the King in Yellow that failed and ended in 1960 and was a kind of precursor to the program that you worked on, where you interviewed people who claimed to have had contact with other worlds or intelligences. What the bottle conveys to you is that you were not a researcher attached to a project that followed Project Carcosa. You were Project Carcosa's last and most successful research subject, where direct exposure to the play had destroyed, driven mad everyone the KGB tried to expose it to. They were able to indirectly expose you through interviews without you ever knowing, and seed the Carcosan infection deep inside you, and subtly encourage your dissatisfaction to the point of defection. You carried the taint to America for them. You weren't the only vector for the King in Yellow, but you were a central vector for bringing the people around you, including Sarah, into the orbit of Carcosa. So that's what you learn as you open the bottle. You don't really have time to think this through, mention it, react to this, because a half dozen yellow nuns round the corner at this point. Whatever was approaching you, they are, 6 of them. They're wearing filthy, torn yellow habits. They're carrying jagged, bladed weapons. 4 of them are squeezed into the narrow space between the shelves, and 2 of them are crawling towards you upside down along the roof. They are sort of gibbering, making some sort of inaudible noise with their mouths, and you do not need to make any human rolls to know that they mean you serious harm. What do you do? Your backs are to the light.
Start shooting.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's. I'll just grab your dex scores. I've got them in front of me, so just bear with me for a sec. All right. So, Tara, you're the first to react. What do you do?
I'm going to pick out the nearest one and see if I can discourage her.
What does that look like?
That looks like hitting her with an axe.
All right. Well, make that melee weapons roll.
Yeah. Critical hit.
Oh, nice. So roll double damage for me.
$11 points of damage.
Oh, nice. Do you want to describe what it looks like as she goes down? Because that will.
I bury it in her sternum, and then kick, and then put a foot to her breastbone and shove her loose. She claws at it, ineffectually for a little while before expiring nastily.
The others, the sort of jabbering noise they're making shifts and is sort of audibly a prayer of some kind for their fallen sister. Felix, what do you do?
I'm just trying to shoot him. I've got a 6-auer pistol.
Well, make a what is it? Firearms check.
Firearms. Yep. Now let's do 100 up here. Failed by 13.
All right. So you miss. They're still getting closer. Sarah and Yelena, you both go on 10. Who wants to shoot first?
Elena, if you're shooting, why don't you go first?
Oh my god, I don't know how Yelena feels about shooting at a nun. Like, she grew up in an Orthodox country here. Ugh. All right, well, split.
You can ask Tara whether she has ever struck anybody with an axe before.
Okay, here we go. So shooting. What am I rolling here? Right.
Well, if you shoot with the gun that was gifted to you, then you'll just hit one and take it out.
Yes, okay, that's what I am doing.
All right. What does it look like?
So I imagine, like, I think there's almost like a coldness. Like, Yelena's just starting to get used to doing this, which is not a good sign. And I think there's just a really dispassionate, like, just, I think she would still try to avoid, like, suffering, but so would probably aim for the head.
Nice.
Or whatever consists of these nuns' heads. I don't know particularly
They
what
have-
they look like other than being in yellow.
Yeah. Do you aim for one that's on the ground or on the ceiling?
Oh, ceiling nun.
Ceiling nun? Great. Sarah, that means you're up next. What do you do?
Is the shot obviously unnatural or magical?
I don't think there's anything obviously unnatural about it.
No, she's just a nice clean kill.
Yes.
Okay.
We're on the shore of the lake, right?
That's right.
You said there's a bunch of boats.
Yeah.
All right. Are they rowboats or do they have motors?
They don't have motors. There's only one that's like sort of adjacent to where you are. You can see others a little further around. It's kind of a long boat. It looks a bit like a rowboat, but it has no oars. And it's tied to the shelves.
Tied to the shelves. Okay. I'm going to start untying that rowboat.
All right. I think if you make that your action for this round, then you'll be able to get one untied by this time round. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Okay. Is there something else in an oar? Is there a pole or something like that?
The boats are empty.
Okay.
It's just like almost like a carved log. Nothing inside it.
Right.
Let's see. There are 4 nuns, so I think one of them will attack each of you. And let's see. Okay. I'm going to go left to right across the keeper. So the first one is going to attack Sarah. Oh, and that's a critical hit. Well, so they do an unconventional sort of damage, and it seems very harsh to apply it twice. But I guess that means, Sarah, delete 2 of your bonds.
Delete 2 bonds, you said?
Mm-hmm. And you feel like some of the sort of emotional connections you had to the world just slip away. One of them is going to attack Tara. That's a hit. Tara, just delete 1 of your bonds.
Right now, I'm glad that I had I had 2 bonds of a friend I barely see and a crocodile dealer.
All right, that's a hit on Yelena, so you can also delete 1 of your bonds. And one of them is going to try and slice at Felix. And that is another critical hit. So Felix, you'll also delete 2 of your bonds.
God damn. I mean, I like the style of it, but that's harsh.
That's rough. You've got so many bonds. So all of you feel like there is some amount of physical pain as these blades like slash and stab into you, but it's really a feeling of like emotional severance.
Question here.
Mm-hmm.
I see that it looks like everybody has 2 bonds with everybody else on the team. And was that something I was supposed to add at some point?
I think it's because you like succeeded on a resilience check at some point and the others didn't. So you didn't form bonds with the rest of Delta Green.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. All right. It's your turn again. You feel bad where the nun just like hacked into you, and you can see that Sarah has gotten the boat loose. What do you do?
The nuns are going to prevent us from getting into the boat, or might it be possible to?
Yeah, you can try and run. You can like make dodging your action for this turn and still like run to the boat.
Yeah, but that's not going to help anybody else.
That's right.
So.
I mean, you can also attack and run if that's what you want to do.
Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to attack to clear a space, if I can, or because I mean these shelves are not the sort of thing that come down, right? They're pretty much anchored to the.
I don't know if we've established that. You've got an axe. I think if you wanted to try and bring the shelves down, you could.
Well, I'm going to. It strikes me that it's the only furniture here. So yeah, I'll try to bring a section of shelf down. I don't think I can chop it loose, but if it'll pull down. So I'm basically gonna jump up and grab a shelf and see if I can yank it down with my weight to discomfort these nuns so that people can get to the boats.
Yeah, I think you make a strength by 5 check, and on a success, you'll like block the way for at least 2 of the nuns for the rest of this round.
I think I missed by a point. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
It's life.
Okay. So I said that you could like have an action and still run to the boat if you wanted to. Do you want to do that, or do you want to maintain?
Yeah. Now that Sarah has the boat loose, I'll try to get loose. But I did.
All right.
I did want to try to.
All right. So you're scrabbling towards the boat. Let's see. Felix, you're up next. You can see that Tara tried to bring the shelves down and didn't. Now rushing for the boat. What do you do?
I've always wanted to say this line. Can I judo throw a nun into the lake?
Well, let's find out. Go ahead and make that unarmed combat roll.
Come on, dice, don't let me down.
Yes.
It's a critical.
So it's under half. Yeah.
It's a crit. It's better than that.
So like normally a critical success on an attack means you do double damage, but you're throwing her into the lake. Like, what do you so you can have some extra benefit that goes with it? What do you?
She's going to take some time to get back out. She can't just hop back out, sort of thing. She's further away and hit a boat on the way down or something.
All right.
How about her habit? How about her habit is just so heavily laden with water she can't get back out?
Look, I think that once the nun goes into the water, she's gone. Well, not water, the cloud lake. All right. Let's see. Sarah, what are you doing?
Running for the goddamn boat.
All right.
Do you think I untied it for my health?
All right. So Sarah and Tara into the boat. Sorry, Felix, I should have asked. Are you staying to fight the nuns, or are you getting into the boat?
Hell no. It was like Chuck go for the boat.
Okay. So Yelena, you're the last one on the shore. There are still 3 nuns approaching.
So I'm gonna go to the boat and I'm gonna still blast one of these fucking nuns.
Okay. So one of the ceiling nuns again?
Yeah, no, ceiling nuns are awful.
Okay, there's no more ceiling nuns. There's just 2 nuns on the shore who are like reaching for the boat and going to try and get into the boat or pull you out of it or something. We're at the top of the round again. Tara, it's your turn. What do you do?
If I'm waiting for one of them to reach for the boat, and then I'm going to bring the axe down on that hand.
All right. Make an unarmed. Sorry, not unarmed. Make a melee check.
Yes.
All right. Roll damage.
And I'm much more just trying to stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
Than actually trying to. 6 points of damage.
All right, that will definitely be enough to make her recoil. And now there's just one of the nuns like still trying to grab the boat. Felix, what do you do?
Is there oars? Is there something to paddle with?
There's no obvious means to make this boat move.
We'll figure that out.
Are my arms sort of long enough to just paddle myself? And
You can reach into the cloud lake if you want.
So we don't have oars, basically. Just for something different, I'm going to think us faster, like will us faster. I'm going to try that. I'm just going to try and take a deep breath and
Make a resilience check.
So 55. All right. Failed by 20.
All right, the boat begins to move. You said faster. Is there any particular direction? Like, are you heading for the city? Do you have a goal in mind?
I'm picturing where we're going to do the play, so I guess it's like a theatre.
Okay, so yeah, I think that the boat will start to descend through the lake towards the city, deep below and far away. And I guess that it will only take a few moments for that to take you far enough away that the nuns will no longer be an issue. But Sarah and Yolanda, you still have a turn in this round if you want to try and take out the two remaining nuns somehow.
Well, isn't one of them's in the Cloud Lake, right?
Oh yeah, so she is gone.
So I just kind of turned to Yolanda and it's like, would you take care of the last one, please?
Yeah, I'm not letting these nuns double back and come after us.
Or even worse, tell somebody.
Or that.
All right, you take out the last of the nuns as the boat descends. So you're able to breathe in the Cloud Lake. You steadily move sort of down and across towards where you see the lights of the city grow larger. As you go down, you can sense that there are creatures swimming through the lake in the distance. Do you do or say anything as you head down?
Don't think about it too much because it'll hurt.
What were those things? I wonder. Or were they people at one time or never?
Perhaps, but they were mad. They were well and truly descended into madness by now, I think.
Well, those knives. I don't think they were just mad. I think they were madness. I got stabbed. We all got stabbed, and yet none of us have wounds, physical ones.
I feel kind of numb, though, like it's as if it's happening to someone else, even though it obviously just happened to us. It's a bit odd.
I feel like I've forgotten something, but I can't remember what it was.
So as the boat descends, it suddenly rocks as if it hit something underneath it. And then you see what it was. It swims up alongside the boat. Enormous, maybe dozens or hundreds of meters long. It's a sort of whale-like creature, but with dozens of chitinous legs on the underside. And it swims up and seems to be looking at all of you with its sort of enormous eyes.
Wow.
You sense a kind of human intelligence behind the eyes. And it swims alongside you for a short distance and then swims away.
I'd like to give it a pet if I can.
That's
You can.
Okay. I'll just reach out and kind of gently pat it. Does it do anything besides continue looking at us?
If anything, its expression seems a little sadder and more mournful as you stroke the side of its face.
We're going to try to keep the world from ending. I tell it.
It doesn't really seem to register your words
No,
in any way that you can recognize.
I didn't think so, but I felt
Sure.
obliged to
I'll say, Yelena, you okay? You've been quiet. What happened with your bottle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You opened the bottle. Gosh,
Did open the bottle.
those nuns just put everything out of my head for a moment. Whatever those things were.
Like, the bottle told me that I'm responsible.
For what?
This. All of
This? You're responsible for the existence of a Carcosa? No, you're not.
No, the incursion of Carcosa on our world. It told me that I brought the infection into the world.
How?
Unless I've missed something, Carcosa's been trying to infect our world for some time through hundreds of people.
No,
so
but hey, no, you brought it in. How?
Like the work that I did for the Soviet government.
You did research into Carcosa? You're not.
I did some research into indirectly through interviews, and apparently that was enough.
But you were trying to bring Carcosa in?
Apparently, I was groomed to bring Carcosa in.
You were used to bring Carcosa in.
I don't.
Gee, that doesn't sound like something the Soviet government would do.
No, it sounds exactly like what they would do.
I don't think they knew what they were doing.
No, maybe they didn't know what they were doing, but they knew that they were spreading chaos, probably.
They wanted to apparently they wanted to expose me to this realm without losing my mind like everybody else. And so they did so indirectly through the research they had me do.
I see. And
apparently when I...
You know why?
Who knows? Does the American government tell all of their agents why they do things they do?
It must have been But if you were exposed to Carcosa, wouldn't that have just redounded on them?
You're presuming they think that far ahead.
I'm presuming that they had an aim in mind, even if it was misguided.
Probably the aim the Soviets always had.
To destroy
the West.
To destroy the West.
But hang on, I thought there was stuff in France and England before the Soviet Union even existed. So it's like Carcosa's been tempting Earth for a while.
No, or not necessarily, Felix. It's remember, cause and effect don't follow each other temporally necessarily. We learned that. Right. Whoever writes The King in Yellow will always have written it, even though we know that evidence for it appeared a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So the King in Yellow. So the Soviet efforts to bring Carcosa in, for all we know, may have been the first effective ones. But I guess that's not an answerable question. How does it make you feel, Elena?
How do you think it makes me feel?
I don't know. It would make me feel used as hell.
I'm angry, regretful. I'm You name it. I feel these things. Responsible. I feel responsible. I don't even know if this is true, but it doesn't matter. This is how.
You're not responsible if they. It sounds like they drip fed this shit to you. Like without you even knowing. Responsibility requires you to know and knowingly participate.
No, I know, that's true, Sarah. But Elena's like some of the agents that we, the Cold War agents they read about that got fed disinformation purposely so that they would believe it and transmit it to other people. I mean, they believed that they were working, for their handlers, even as their handlers were lying to them completely. It's it's a very
Regardless,
confusing thing.
I'll reach out and take Elena's hand.
like one of the tenets, one of the ethical principles of anthropology is you don't interfere with the culture you're studying. And now as if I could interfere in whatever the fuck this is, but now it's interfering with that. And
yes, it went first.
Whether or not it doesn't matter if I chose it or not. I was the one who did it.
Well,
And if I can, I am going to correct this.
I guess
So you're going to interfere right back.
Listen, time is fluid, right? Apparently, maybe I can stop myself or them or something.
But what's clear here is that Carcosa invaded our reality, not vice versa. So
I don't even know if it's intentional. It just is.
no, I think it just is. It is a naturally invasive place, but that doesn't mean that you should be allowed to do it. That's all.
For what it's worth, Elena, you've always been a good person and a good friend to me and to us, and I'm glad you are here with us and along for this journey.
I'm glad opening the bottle didn't destroy.
It very, very almost did.
Well,
I can't explain how I know that. Just that it was close.
yeah.
Well, think about it this way, hon. If we wouldn't have had the last 20 odd years if that hadn't happened to you. We'll figure out something. We always do.
As your boat continues to descend towards the city, the closer you get, the more you can hear the sounds of gunfire, occasional explosions, things like that. It sounds like a battle is raging in the city. And before long, you see that your boat is approaching the shoreline of this city, the edge of a cloud lake in the city of Carcosa proper. What do you do as you wash up on the shore?
Just
Reload my weapon.
Take stock of what's here. Where is this battle? How far is it? Are we in danger?
Sure. So, I mean, I guess it's like before you were in this kind of bookshop that looked like that was also somehow a city. And now it's more like you're in a city that is also a bookshop. So you see narrow winding streets that are similar to the narrow winding aisles that you saw in the store. But here they're sort of densely packed along the sides with rundown tenement housing with books and bottles stacked in front and against them.
Is it modern with like street lights and cars and stuff, or not?
Definitely not modern, but not ancient either. Maybe early 20th century ish.
Right.
Felix, you notice before anyone else that something about the light here is wrong as well. The shadows that are cast don't quite match the light sources that you can see. Maybe sound also seems to be traveling just a little faster or slower than it should. Something about the laws of physics is just gently different here. The sounds of gunfire is not like immediately close, like you're not needing to take cover or anything like that. But occasionally you hear bursts of gunfire not very far from here, down the streets ahead of you. And the other thing that you notice here and there along the sides of the buildings, bits of graffiti, sometimes even a flag that show a symbol that you recognize as the yellow sign with a red circle and a cross through it.
I think those static gas mask guys are bloody trying to stop the play. I think that's what this fighting is.
Is this graffiti recent?
If you go and examine it, like not recent in the sense that it's still wet, but some of it looks pretty fresh.
Okay.
There's other instances that you can see that have been painted over, so some of it has been here for a longer time.
There's some anti-royalist sentiment here. We still have to find the author's bottle, right, in the theater.
Well, we just left the bottles. Like, how are we supposed to find them?
No, their bottle is here. See? I pick up one.
Yeah, they're definitely stacked all along the fronts of the buildings, all around you.
You know,
And
Slow down for a moment.
I thought it was a metaphor when, like, the play is the author's bottle.
just for shits and giggles, I want to close my eyes and reach out to see if I can find the author's bottle.
You reach out and grasp for a bottle, and it is not the author's bottle.
Not even gonna let me roll for it this time, huh?
I mean, the problem is that I know where the author's bottle is, and it's not here. So there's no amount of rolling that's
Totally fair. Totally fair.
All right. Well, let's make our way down here, down this way, for lack of a better place, and maybe something will catch our eye.
All right. So you follow the streets. Is there? I mean, so far you don't really have any landmarks or anything, but are you just sort of moving the direction away from the lake, or is there any particular way that you're trying to navigate or orientation that you're looking for?
I'm
Elena,
looking at Felix.
Elena, yeah, you saw Elena. You saw the pattern of the city in the bookshelves.
Yeah, does it
Right.
follow the same structure?
Make another anthropology roll.
All right. Oh,
Is the city layout like the sign, the yellow sign or something? Or?
I don't think you can really tell that just from the street that you're on.
Okay.
How'd you go, Elena? Oh,
failed.
the city. I mean, I think that what the failure means is that there's something about the layouts of the street that doesn't seem human to you. So your sense for the anthropology of cities is not going to help you here.
I'll just sort of be like, "Fuck, this makes no sense. Nothing here makes sense."
Let's walk a little bit and see if something does.
All right. I'm just going to make a dice roll here.
Are there any windows around?
Yeah, all the buildings on either side of the street have windows.
Do any of the windows show us a reflection?
Yeah. You can find your reflection in a window.
I'm going to look at Felix and say, it's kind of like a mirror.
I think we established that reflections in surfaces that weren't mirrors didn't work for Felix.
Okay. Do we see any mirrors around in any of the windows?
I don't think you see a mirror per se, but you can see that they open onto like slightly old-fashioned homes and things like that. So presumably you could find a mirror inside.
But that still wouldn't tell them where to go, I guess, huh?
Well, Felix had an unerring sense of direction. Like all we have to do is get in there, and it seemed like you could just find almost like pick a mirror at random and come out where we needed to. We managed to find my drug dealer's place.
Yeah, we can just kick the first door in and.
Sure, we can knock first, though, huh?
Of course.
All right, so you knock at the door and there's no answer. You don't hear any sound inside.
All right, let's open the door then.
All right. Do you force it or someone pick the lock? What's happening? Just kick it open?
Well, force
kick it open.
Force it if it doesn't open, yeah.
All right. So it's just a small apartment. Anyone wants to make a history check can try and work out like what sort of era some of this stuff is from. There are some notes written on the wall in a language that none of you recognize. It looks to be some sort of European language, but you're not sure what.
I passed the history check.
And I got a critical fail.
So, Yelena, like the stuff around here makes this out to be like a sort of working class French home from the late 19th century.
I'll sort of relay that. It
was first
pen written.
Written or at least discovered.
Published.
Yeah, this is the time, I guess, or the equivalent time.
Felix, you see a mirror?
Is it big enough to get through, or?
Yeah, you have to climb up onto a dresser, but you could get into it.
All right. Is this what we want to do? Yes, no?
Felix, can I ask, where are you going to try and get to once you go into the mirror?
I guess I'm picturing like a mirror on the stage play or near the stage play.
But we don't have the alchemist bottle yet.
I think we'll find it when we need it.
Okay. Do we want? So we're looking for a place to perform the play. Then.
I think so.
Okay, so you're going to try and find the nearest mirror to a stage where you could perform the play.
Yep.
All right. All right. Well, go ahead. You can climb on into that mirror. I am thinking about where you're likely to emerge with that direction. Okay. So I think that the four of you emerge from a mirror in what seems to be a fairly large factory. There are, workbenches, bits of equipment hanging on the walls, or maybe more of a warehouse than a factory. You can hear someone on the other side of a workbench. He may be a man who's crouching down or something like that. He says to someone something also behind the workbench, "Oh, you want a mask as well?" Well, maybe, but I think that's you sorted out. And he stands up and you see sort of stocky older man, white hair, white beard. He's holding a big wrench in his hand. And he notices the four of you. He says, "Oh, I didn't think you'd be here so early. Welcome."
Have we seen him before?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Have we met this guy before, or?
No, he's not familiar to you.
My name's Tara. What's yours?
Ambrose. He comes over and he'll sort of shake his hands and introduce himself to each of you, if you let him.
You were expecting us.
Well, I was expecting someone.
And what did you expect that someone to do?
Well, I was told that someone would come looking for the author's bottle. Is that
You,
you?
that is us. Yes.
And who told you that?
I don't know. Someone from the palace. Gets a little vague. I used to get all my instructions directly from the king, but the king hasn't really been around much lately. It's just this noble, that page. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Is the king well?
Well, nobody tells me much, but I assume I haven't seen the king. He used to come around a lot. Something must be wrong.
Yeah, we've heard that the king is not well, and that's why all this is happening.
Well, I mean, you can probably hear fighting outside, like the sounds of gunfire and explosions are closer here. He sort of, shudders and hunches a little bit as an artillery shell goes off outside. He says, well, I sure hope he gets better soon. I don't like this.
No, well, I guess we're here to help with that.
Well, you want me to show you to the bottle?
Please.
All right. So he leads you through this sort of large sort of warehouse space. You pass by a whole lot of tables that are stacked with boxes and odd bits of equipment and things. The most striking to you is that one of the tables is laid out with like dozens and dozens of boxes. Let's see. Pocket, you've been pretty quiet this session. What do you see that is unmistakably something that you first saw stuck to Abigail Wright's wall?
Videotapes.
Yeah. So there's a box with some videotapes in it labeled in the exact handwriting that you remember so well as Nightfall's episodes. There's all kinds of other things that you saw on those walls, artificial limbs, lawn mowers, books, papers, things like that. One of the tables has a big pile of identical orange satellite phones, exactly like the one that you were given. Some of the phones only half assembled. The ones that are half assembled, you can see, are filled with dirt and don't have any wiring or components inside them. He's just leading you through this space, making small talk as he goes, asking you about your, I don't know, plans for the weekend probably is what he asks you about. And
We're planning to have one, if at all possible.
beg your pardon?
We're planning to have one, if at all possible. It's our primary aim here.
You're heading for the masquerade. You're going to need masks. Do you have masks?
No, we don't. But we see, it looks like this place is full of, props, for lack of a better word.
Look, they tell me what they want, and I just build it and then send it on. That's all I do.
Yeah, well, we've seen a lot of.
Where do you send it?
Wherever they tell me to.
Okay, how do you send it?
These little messengers, and he kind of like whistles, and one of the golden children that you've seen before like scurries over and looks at him expectantly. And he just sort of gestures them. They just wanted to see what the messengers look like. You can go. I don't have anything for you now. You want? I can whip you up some masks.
That would be kind. Thank you.
Any particular design you're looking for, or aesthetic? Your costumes aren't looking like much, but...
Do you make costumes as well?
I can if you want.
Do you know what a plague doctor is?
Yeah, sure.
I'd like that aesthetic in white and gold, please.
4?
I'd like mine to be fire engine red, please.
I can do that. Looks to Felix. What about you?
Something regal like a princess being coronated would be nice.
Yeah. No problem. Looks to Yelena.
I'll sort of look at them and shrug and be like, "You ever heard of Baba Yaga?"
Oh, you like that sort of fairy tale stuff, huh? Yeah, I can do that. All right. Look, you're gonna have to give me a minute. A minute. It's gonna take some time. You want to just wait around here?
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll get something.
Sure.
We'll do some other preparations while we wait.
All right. So he goes off. He leaves you there. Are there any other preparations that you want to make, or anything you want to do while he's getting your costumes ready?
I just have a question.
Mhm.
Like, I removed a couple of bonds. Do the memory of those people go from the others, or just from me?
So it's not exactly that you don't remember those people. Like, they're still people in your life. You just feel no emotional connection to them
There's
anymore.
just no value. Okay.
I was pretty
Uh,
distant from my therapist already. I don't think he can handle this. So do we
there's a
have
sort
to?
of like there's a gnawing emptiness when you think of those people. Like, the emotional connection isn't there, but there's some sort of a wound in your feelings. Sorry, Mark, you were going to ask something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that crate of stuff that we needed that we found in the mirror realm. Do you think this is where it came from?
I don't think it
Could
came
be.
from him.
They said it wasn't us, but I mean, they've lied about all sorts of shit, so. Just to cover our bases, we got to try and find the stuff and send it to ourselves.
I don't think that's necessary. So those things that look like children are able to go freely back and forth.
I thought they were like the pages, the messengers.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have to be able to
Literally.
walk between this realm and Carcosa and our home, at least, to do that. And I wonder if there's anyone organizing this, or if it's just kind of an inevitability.
I certainly hope not.
No, I mean that when Carcosa's invasion just naturally causes.
It's happening because it's always happened.
Well, no, I'm not saying that necessarily. But that sort of it creates roads to itself. It affects people, and it causes things to be placed in locations that make it possible to find it, to get there, to it seems at the same time to have enormous purpose and to be entirely impersonal, like some sort of existence.
Social media app. Yeah.
Well, no, I was thinking like an automaton, except it's a universe.
So we're at the top of the hour. If there's any other, let's just take our break here, and when we come back, either you can do any preparations that you want to do, or we'll just jump ahead to your costumes arriving back. So we'll take 10 minutes here. All right. So you have some time together, you talk, you sort of theorize. Are there any particular preparations that you want to make in that time, or shall we cut to Ambrose returning with your costumes?
We don't have the others bottled yet. Yes.
Oh, that's right.
I guess we can look around in case it's here.
Sure. You want to just go for a wander?
Yeah.
Yeah, responsible wonder.
Okay. So yeah, I think that without too much trouble, if you just sort of wander around this end of the warehouse or the way that Ambrose was leading you towards the bottle, you'll find like a sort of dark corner of the warehouse, the furthest end of it. And in that corner, you're going to need, flashlights or your phone lights or whatever to see into it. There's a small podium with a bottle on top. There's a plaque that reads Auteur X attached to the podium. And beyond the podium, the rear wall of the warehouse is just covered by an enormous, very finely made gold theatrical curtain.
I kind of gestured at Tara to pick it up. Or
Yeah. I'll pick up the bottle, and there's our stage, I guess.
Do you want to make an alertness roll before you pick it up?
I do. Always. Yes.
So you can see that the bottle is attached to some sort of mechanism that runs down into the podium. Do you go ahead and pick it up anyway, or does that give you pause?
I point this out to Felix.
booby trap by
Could be.
set up like whoever's fighting, maybe, or more just an alarm that this has happened.
So it seems like whatever it is was built into this part of the factory like some time ago. The podium itself is covered in dust. Like this corner is a bit cobwebby and old. It doesn't seem like it's a booby trap that's been added to something that was here.
We might want to let Yelena pick up that bottle. I mean, you've already been exposed to the King in Yellow, the play. It might be safer for you to do it.
Maybe.
But
I thought we wanted Tara to do it because she's got the most sort of human connections and stuff, and if there's a chance to influence it, she can be the author. No, isn't? I thought that's what we agreed on. No.
Well, things change when you encounter new information, right? I mean, you don't keep the same plan that you made on Tuesday, regardless of what happens Wednesday, right?
yeah, but Yelena's already opened a bottle.
Doesn't mean she can't open another one.
It might, and keep her sense. She said it was a near-run thing, opening her own bottle, and I believe her.
True. From what I understand, though, the problem is in opening your own bottle, not opening another's.
Well, I understand, unless you're the author, in which case it is your bottle.
I mean, all we've been told is that we have to give the bottle. It doesn't say we have to open it.
It's true, but this is whatever's associated this with the podium, this is a mechanical thing. This is not, some sort of mystical. It's not resting on some sort of sigil or something like that. There's actually, it's actually, there's a mechanism here that does something when you lift the bottle.
This is why I'm looking at Yelena, because it may be the case that there is something that we just can't see. The mechanism may be driven by something else. I mean, think about how you told us about machines that seem to have intent without anything organic about them, with no sigils on them. So,
Look,
Yelena's has the most exposure.
and we can debate this.
Or we could
forever.
ask
We
Ambrose.
don't actually know what's going to happen.
Or we could ask Ambrose. He might know.
Ambrose.
I'm inclined to do that.
Seems the most appropriate thing to do before we just take shit.
So I think that at this point you hear Ambrose sort of coming back, like calling out.
Ambrose.
He's going to be here in just a few moments unless someone grabs the bottle before that. And it doesn't sound like
No, I think it's no. I'll call him over.
All right. So he switches on some lights in this part of the warehouse and like, you found it. Well, here's your outfits, and starts to unpack them from the what do you call it, like suit bags, that he's got them arranged in. They are extremely finely made. It seems very implausible that he's knocked these together in the last hour. Very finely detailed. Garment bags, thank you. I just lost that word entirely.
Ambrose, the bottle seems to be on some sort of mechanism.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What does it do?
Well, it opens the door. It opens the way to the masquerade.
Oh, that makes sense. And the stage back here?
Well, it's not a stage exactly. It's just the back of the warehouse.
Oh, I mean, it looks
Just
like it looks curtained, like you might like a theater.
Yeah, he just sort of reaches for the curtain and, like, pushes against it and shows you that there's just a wall on the other side. There's no stage back there. It's just part of the furniture, I guess. Part of the scenery.
All the world's a stage.
Well, I guess we should take the bottle when we're ready to go then. Which means I guess we should dress.
Yeah, Felix will start getting his costume on.
Nice.
Likewise.
Is anyone not going to get into their outfit?
I want to do an alertness check first.
Is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
So, Yelena made me watch too many Saw movies. And I'm concerned there might be some sort of mechanism or trap, whether it is mechanical or otherwise. Are these things enchanted, for example? Are they magical in some way that would prevent us from taking them off?
Oh, yeah. You can make an unnatural check to see if there's anything, like, unnatural about the costumes. And you're welcome to also make an alertness check for other traps.
That's a 7 on unnatural.
So, I mean, there's nothing unnaturally... You can't find anything unnaturally dangerous about the costumes. Are they woven with the materials of Carcosa? Yes. Are they completely mundane? No. But are they dangerous to you? Like, of all the things around you, this is not cracking the top 100 most dangerous.
And that is a miss on awareness.
All right. So,
Or,
yeah.
excuse me, alertness.
Sure. So you think the costumes are as safe as anything here to put on?
I think it's for certain that if we stick out where we're going, that will be incredibly unsafe.
Or people trying to stop the play will shoot at us because we look like we're going into play.
No, we look like we're going to a ball where people are dressed in costume.
Yeah.
They're kind of if unless we showed up in costumes involving gas masks, I don't think anybody will think us particularly striking. And the advantage of being masked, of course, is that no one knows who you are, even if they do.
I'm going to put on my robes and carefully tuck my shotgun underneath them.
Nice.
I do wonder what would happen if we asked to dress up as each other, if we could, but it's too late now.
All right.
I don't know, Felix. Do you want my robe? Would you prefer gold and yellow before gold and white?
No, he needs.
I mean, a costume so that I look like Yelena and so on.
I think we might need to pick each other out from a crowd, so it's not bad to have distinctive costumes that we know of. All right, is everybody dressed?
I think they are.
Okay, well, I'll take the bottle then.
All right. So the bottle up close seems to be made of ever-darkening layers of crystal. The cork is sealed with yellow wax, and as you lift it from the table, the mechanism that it's attached to releases. You hear a click, you hear gears turn. In the distance, you hear the sound of faint applause, and the curtain that a moment ago just covered a wall starts to rise, revealing the ballroom of a beautiful, beautifully crafted palace. There are dozens and dozens of guests, and your immediate impression is that although these guests are, acting or seem to have been caught in a moment of politeness and etiquette, the tensions in this room are unmistakable. On one side of the room, you can tell, even with their masks, that it's Camilla and Casilda, the bedraggled sister princesses, receiving well wishes with their chosen successor to the throne, Ariella Castaigne. On the other side of the room, you see the small figure in velvet tuxedo and paper mache mask that you've seen a few times. He is conferring with a group of masked figures, and of course, everyone here is a masked figure, really. The masks, the four of you probably have the four of the most unremarkable masks in the room. Lots of them are sort of elaborate and bulky. Some of them are clockwork. Some of them are sharp and angular. There's a large empty throne that sort of dominates the room. A handful of minor royals are gathered near it. One of the figures near the throne is resplendent in a long blue dress, and she lifts the simple sort of half-cat mask away from her face for a moment as she looks at you. And although she's 20 years older than any photo you've seen, you recognize Abigail Wright.
Good. I was coming
quick wave.
up with stratagems to figure out who she was, and let's say that I'm going to tuck the bottle away just so it's not obvious.
Okay.
Just hold it in my voluminous sleeve if necessary. But I'm still hanging on to it. Well, let's go say hello, shall we?
All right, so let's see if this works. I'm going to post a link in the chat and tell me if you can see what I see when you follow that link. If it works, you're all going to see a countdown.
Yeah. See it?
So you can see that there's just under an hour left. Great. So around this room, you're going to see like lots of people that you've encountered through the course of the campaign, including the ones that I've mentioned and others that I haven't mentioned specifically. What do you do?
Go over to Abigail.
Does everyone go with Tara, or what do the rest of you do?
No, I definitely do. That's where I was going to go anyways.
Sarah and Yelena, are you also heading towards Abigail?
I've seen the guy in the paper mache mask before, right? I saw him at Washington Square Park.
You saw him there? You saw him in the basement beneath the Dorchester at night?
I'm going to go talk to that guy.
All right. Yelena, what about you?
I think I'm not leaving Sarah alone, so I'm with her.
Okay. So Felix, you're definitely going to notice as you move around the room that lots of people are paying particular attention to you, especially the sisters and their claimant to the throne. Tara and Felix, you approach Abigail. She sort of gestures for you to come over. And in a very low whisper, she says, "Did you bring the author's bottle?"
Yes.
Do you understand what it is?
I know it's that presumably whoever opens it is going to write the play.
Well, that's about it.
Or will have written the play, or whatever the appropriate verb is.
Yeah, in Carcosa, there's a tense that describes it, but English, you're doing pretty well.
The question is, does it have to be a specific person, or is it enough that the play is written?
Whoever opens it will have been the author. Your friend Tim Bale is keen. Barbas is keen. There's a few washed-up old science fiction authors who've ended up here who'd be very happy to have written it.
I'm not sure I want Mr. Bale or anyone like that to write this play.
Are you okay? Do you want to come back to Earth? Or?
I don't think it's possible for me to come back to Earth anymore. But if you make it back, can you tell my father that I'm all right?
What's his name?
Thomas Wright.
I think if any of us makes us back, we'll do that.
It's very kind.
Least we can do for your help.
All right, I'm going to go to Sarah and Yelena for a minute. So you approach the tuxedoed man, and one of the figures who is speaking to him sort of turns towards the two of you and says, "I'm glad that you're here," and you recognize Louise Post's voice under the mask.
We did what you asked. We got those papers to that law firm.
Yes, I appreciate it. You did fine work.
Also, I'll look at Louise and be like, does any of that even really matter?
Well, what can any of us do except what we're told to do, what's laid out for us?
We could try doing what we're not told to do, or we could try doing what we're told not to do. We could not do what we're told to do. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm something of an example of that. My parents wanted me to grow up and go to Harvard and get a degree and become successful in a field of my choosing, and instead I became an art forger. And I embarrassed the hell out of them at every turn.
So she sort of makes a sweeping gesture around the room and she says, "So this is your free will, is it?"
Look, if you want to argue about free will and predestination, I got to tell you, I was raised Protestant.
She says, "Look, I'm sorry. I'm not here to argue with you. The coronation will happen soon. Is your friend ready?"
I mean, as ready as any convicted felon who is a teacher at MIT can be, I suppose. I mean, we don't really have kings. So I'm not sure how regal he's going to be.
Well, he needs to be careful. The sisters will do anything to ensure that he doesn't ascend.
Well, we have a couple of insurance policies around for that.
I'll sort of I'll look at her and be like, and if he doesn't ascend, isn't that what's supposed to happen anyway, from what I understand?
Look, I've chosen sides. I'm here with the Phantom, and the Phantom has chosen your friend.
Wait, this guy in the velvet tux is the Phantom of Truth?
That's right.
I'm going to turn to him and like grab his hand, whether he wants me to or not, and start shaking it vigorously and said, "You know, I've heard so much about you, but we've never formally met. Hi, I'm Sarah. This is my wife, Yelena."
Just nod.
Louise Post leans down towards the mask as if she can hear something that he's saying that you can't hear. And then she stands back up and says, "The Phantom of Truth is pleased to make your acquaintance."
Yeah. Does he not talk, or does he only talk in ways that you can hear?
He doesn't talk to you. He speaks to you through the gifts that he gave each of you.
I'll look at Louise and be like, so is that why you were silent for a whole year, preparing yourself to be his mouthpiece?
I was just a person then. I'm a person now, but it's different, you know. I'm going to go back to Tara and Felix for a minute. Are you still talking to Abigail, or is there other stuff that you want to do?
Well, no, I wanted to ask Abigail a question. Abigail, we understand that Felix is one of the candidates for to be the king. But there are others here that will try to destroy him.
That's probably true.
What can we do to protect him? What can I do to protect him? Does the play have anything to do with it?
The play creates the world. That's all. Did you bring the bomb?
I don't know what bomb you're talking about.
No bomb. Then keep Felix away from the sisters and their loyalists.
All right.
And as she sees that, Felix, you'll notice that the human woman who's been standing alongside the sisters is sort of moving towards through the crowd in your general direction.
Okay.
What do you do?
I'll just keep an eye on her.
Well,
Go get. Yeah, go get lost in the crowd. Go find.
I'm gonna look for Bale.
okay. You wander off to look for Bale. Tara, do you keep talking to Abigail?
The play creates the world. Does it shape the world?
Well, the world is just something that happens as the play's written and unfolds. Does it shape the world? I suppose, but the way that air forms, the air shapes a bubble on the surface of the water.
Okay. Does it matter who the author is?
I'm a poet. I like to think it matters.
Why don't you want to write it?
That's not something that I want to have written. I assume the reasons are clear.
No,
It's a lot of responsibility
it is.
to have created all this. To have created everything, really. Like a snake eating its tail? Not for me.
Not for anyone really who would want it.
Oh, there's that.
It's the kind of thing. It's like certain. It's like certain thrones, right? You know, the ideal candidate is not somebody who desires it fervently.
Yeah. I think that's a good note to cut away to Felix. So,
Mhm.
Felix, you wind through the crowd. The woman who you assume is Ariella Castaigne, although you've not met her before, continues to sort of move generally towards you, but she has to stop occasionally to, chat to people and things like that.
I'm kind of avoiding it, kind of going towards Bale if I can.
Bale will welcome you. He says, "There's a rumor going around this party that you and your friends have brought the author's bottle. Is it true?"
It's certainly true we're here at the party. I was wondering if I ascended, if you'll be an ongoing supporter. You have been favourable with this, and I'd like to continue that positive relationship.
Surely you can't be serious. You know that I'm loyal to the sisters, don't you?
Are you? I thought you were loyal, to the situation that profits you.
Well, we'll see. I suppose we'll see. They say everyone says that the king will die momentarily, and then the struggle for the throne will begin in earnest, and we'll see who has decided wisely, and whose side will be victorious. But
A diplomatic answer.
Well, no, I'm purely on the side of the sisters. I think that you and your master will be crushed. I don't mean to mince words about it. But the author can sidestep all of that. The the bottle will take them away. We'll give them a special role outside of venal power struggles of some alien court.
Can I make a roll to see if he's like if any of that's bullshit or?
You can make a human check. Not totally human, but I think it works.
Yeah. Nah, failed.
All right.
All right.
Do you have it? Do you have the bottle?
Yeah, of course we got the bottle, but
What
you haven't sort of made me an interesting offer yet. So I'm gonna have to.
What do you want?
I think I'm stuck here at this point. I want Tara to get home safely, and her to have a home to get home to.
Bale will take that in and think about it, and we'll come back to you in a minute.
Yeah, but you think about it. I'm going to go back to Tara.
All right. Well,
and I'll just go back to Tara and tell her what he said, basically.
Okay.
Right.
Elena and Sarah, are you still talking to Louise Post and the Phantom, or what are you doing?
Louise, if something happens to him, what happens to the abilities that he granted us?
It's a good question, but I don't think anything's going to happen to him. Soon his agent will be on the throne. If anything, your abilities will be stronger.
I look at Elena and say, and I'll lean in and whisper, keep your gun close. The unusual one. I have a feeling we may need it.
You're like, oh, definitely.
And then
I'll,
I kind of look at Elena and it's like, who do you want to talk to?
you. I'll pull Sarah aside and just say, listen, you still don't know whether we can stop any of this or whatever, but if we can't change the outcome, if we can't destroy the bottle, if we can't protect our home, I think it's best if I stay here regardless of the outcome.
To avoid reinfection.
I'll sort of like.
I'm sorry. That was a really thoughtless way for me to put it. But shit, I can't think of a better word.
Look, you know me. That's straightforward. That is exactly what it is. I'm not offended by that.
Yeah, but it's different when you're the typhoid Mary of reality.
Like, regardless, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'll pat where my gun is and be like, but I can protect myself. I can protect Felix. Hell, maybe I could just choose to sit on the throne. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that.
Well, it's decided then. I'm staying here too.
Are you sure?
What do I have to go back to? A drug dealer with some decent weed? You
Probably
are
nothing
my
compared
home.
to what we could get here.
You are my home. I mean, we have an apartment in Boston. We got a lot of books and we've got a lot of things pinned up on conspiracy boards in the walls and whatnot. But what do I really have to go back to? You're my family. We don't have kids. We don't even really have friends. We have us. So I understand why you want to stay. And it sucks, but I agree with it. And we lived together for 20 years. There's no way of saying with any degree of certainty that I wouldn't have it dormant within me.
There.
So
All right then.
I mean, on the bright side of things, at least apparently we're going to have really good clothes,
I guess that's something.
right? I mean, that whale creature looked kind of nice, kind of friendly, and I got to pet a whale type thing here.
Sure.
I never got to do that.
And there's all sorts of fucked up books that we could both get our hands on.
I mean, just think about the weird arcane research we could do. Think about your anthropological study of this place. It's a whole new world for you to examine. And maybe you can kind of plant, well, hell, I don't know. Maybe you did plant a poison pill. Maybe that's why all those people you interviewed couldn't handle any of this stuff. Maybe you need to be here to do that. Maybe you're the cause of that.
All right. Well, what next? Are we making sure Felix gets on that throne?
I'm surprised you haven't shot Camilla and Casilda and Ariana already, but
Sure.
might be a
Like,
little too soon for that.
Like the night, day, whatever the hell time of day it is here.
The time.
Young. The time is still young.
It's 20 minutes to midnight. All right, I'm going to come back to you. So, Felix, you approached Tara, let her know what you spoke to Bale about. Ariella approaches you at this point. She walks over with her hands raised to show that they're empty in a sort of gesture of non-threatening intent.
I think my hands in my pocket, resting on my gun, and smile.
Right. It's Felix, isn't it?
Yes.
Just thought we should talk. It's a strange position that we find ourselves in. How are you feeling about it all?
It's been an interesting journey, but I don't want it to be the end. Doesn't necessarily have to be the end for either of us.
Well, if you were to take the throne, what would you do to me?
I'm sure you have some skills that could be put to use.
You'd enslave me.
No. You would, if you wanted to work for me, you could work of your own choice. I'm not here to enslave anybody.
I have no intention of serving you or your master.
Well, I would.
Well, then I guess you'd find out the consequences, wouldn't you?
Well,
I don't know what the penalty for lèse majesté is here, but I bet it's pretty strong.
You could just leave.
I've been waiting for this my whole life. I mean, whatever happens, we're not both walking out of here. That's always been clear, right? Just want you to know that whatever I do to you, I bear you no particular ill will. You just chose the wrong side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reverse isn't true.
Well, I'll enjoy gutting you.
I'm going to shoot her. I'm just going to go bang.
All right. Make a firearms check.
Let's have a go. Come on. Oh, shit. Damn it! I only just missed it.
Get anything for surprise?
I don't know that there's a bonus to shoot for surprise, and I don't think it's totally a surprise. She knew that she was in a charged interaction. It's not like a sniper shot or something.
Yeah, I mean, she just said she was going to eviscerate him and enjoy it. So,
True.
So I think that you'll be like grappled by a couple of the courtiers who'll wrestle the gun out of your hands after the shot goes off.
Damn it.
Ariella will smile and just say, "Well, there's no need for that yet. I'll excuse myself. I'm sure we'll see each other again before too long." Abigail will check in with you, Felix. Are you all right?
As a great man once said, this bitch is toast.
Abigail, what happens to the author? Or do we not know?
I don't know.
Hmm.
The author writes the play. That's all I can tell you.
Well, Bale suggested they are sort of like outside of this reality. They are safe from this coronation.
Makes sense.
Maybe. Well, he's coming over now. Maybe you can ask him. And you see that Bale is approaching, and he's bringing with him a woman in sort of plain black robes with a very elaborate mask or headpiece in the shape of a giant clock that's also counting down the time towards midnight. And Bale, as he approaches, says, Tara, is it? Felix was very concerned for your welfare. I believe that you've met Lady Triumphe before. And gestures to the figure that he's brought with him.
Have we?
Not in this semblance, at least.
But I mean, you will, Tara. You'll recognize who this is as she draws a deck of tarot cards from her robes, and says, "I told you that I'd read your cards here. Are you ready?"
All right.
Very good, very good. And let's see. She shuffles the cards. Eventually, she places.
All right.
That's all right. So she shuffles the tarot deck. She sort of gestures for you both to sit down, and she lays a card out between the two of you. And you see the Ten of Cups. If you want to Google what the Ten of Cups look like, you can. I don't have the card in front of me this time. It basically shows, it's quite positive looking. There's a man and a woman with their arms around each other. They're looking up at a kind of rainbow, and their children are dancing at their feet.
Yeah.
Lady Trumpfield says, "Oh, this is very good, very, very positive about your prospects. This card shows, well, it seems to show a happy family. Do you have a family?"
I do.
Well, this card says that you will experience great joy with them, that you'll be, I suppose, reunited with them. Oh, but you see the card is reversed. And if you look down, you see that now the card does seem to be upside down, although you're sure that it wasn't a moment ago. He says, oh dear, all that love and emotion turned against itself. This could be bad. She begins to shuffle the cards, and she says, let's see if there's another way. Her shuffling becomes more and more elaborate, almost hypnotic, lots of fanning and throwing and things like that. And finally, with a gesture of her hand, she sprays the cards against your face so that, dozens of them just sort of slap against your face. For a moment, your vision is blocked out.
I'm holding tight to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And backing away and wiping the cards out of my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll sort of say, enough trickery.
I'm sorry. Just my clumsiness.
Bullshit. Thank you.
She leaves the cards scattered across the ground.
I'm going to pick one up.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I think that what you'll find if you pick a card from the ground, is the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, I figured. This is the what? This is the real card. I say to Felix.
Now,
And all the rest of it was manipulation.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think I might suggest at this point that the four of you come back together and have a chance to sort of talk about what you've learnt or planned or thought.
Yeah, we can say let's chat with someone we can trust and sort of. I'm just going to yell at Sarah.
Really quick, we're coming up near the top of the hour. Do we want to take our break and then do the chat so we don't have to interrupt it, or
It's the clock's ticking.
Yeah, I will pause. I can pause the clock for the break. That is part of the effect. I think it makes sense. All right, let's take our break now. But what is going to happen before the break is that as the four of you gather in the corner, there's a sort of stirring, a commotion that spreads through the crowd, through the ball. And you see that the King in Yellow is approaching, just unimaginably frail and old, being supported by his medics or advisors or whoever it is. He can barely walk. And it's clear that he's near death. But as he approaches the masquerade, you notice that with each step, he seems to grow a little stronger, a little younger, a little less reliant on his supports. Soon he is restored to full health, or so it seems, and then more than that, he grows 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet tall in his full majesty and power. And as he enters the ballroom, he reaches a giant hand to the spot where Camilla and Casilda and Ariella are standing, and he scoops them up in his hand and lifts his mask away from his face for a second so that only they can see, and devours them. And that's where we'll take our break. So we'll come back. I will pause the clock. We have half an hour left before the end of the world, and we'll take a 10-minute break. Is that good for everyone?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm back, Shane.
Cool. All right, I'm going to start the countdown again. All right, we are still half an hour from the end of the world. Panic is breaking out across the ballroom. Camilla and Casilda's supporters are turning on each other. They're sort of rushing to betray each other to the king before he consumes them as well. The Phantom of Truth and his supporters are also panicking and desperate, hoping that this means the king has chosen them, but worried that it means they're next. Both within and between those two groupings, fighting is breaking out. There's the smell of blood in the air. Bodies are beginning to fall. You see, in particular, Barbas is cut from throat to crotch. He falls to the ground, gurgling blood, and sort of gestures futilely towards you with his last moments as if begging for the author's bottle. The King in Yellow, calm and unbothered after consuming his daughter, almost with a little spring in his step, walks up to the throne and takes it back. It is physically difficult for the four of you to stay as close to the throne as you are here. You feel a strong urge to move to the far end of the room, or at least further away, because the king sort of radiates fear and emotional distress. What do you do?
I say to Tara, open the bottle, and I try to step towards the king.
All right.
Tara.
I uncork the bottle.
All right. You experience a moment of just overwhelming inspiration, a sense of what you need to do, the words that you need to put down, what that's going to look like exactly, and then you vanish from the room. We'll talk about where you go, but as far as Felix Yelena and Sarah are concerned, you open the bottle and vanish. Felix, you're trying to walk towards the king.
Yep.
What? You're just trying to. What are you trying to do? Get close to him because it's going to hurt the closer you get. Are you going to push through that, or what are you doing?
Oh, if it starts to physically hurt, then no, I'll stop.
Okay.
And
He
saying, Your
looks-
Majesty.
All right, Sarah and Yelena, what are you doing?
I lean over to Elaine and say, "Think you're gonna work?"
Be like, not really.
Yeah, me neither.
Let's
It's
let's just see what's gonna happen.
yeah, I was gonna say let's stay here.
All right.
Let's keep Felix in our sights, though.
All right. Person will put a hand on your shoulder, Sarah, and say, "Is this what you expected?"
Not really, but honestly, I didn't know what to expect. So, yeah, maybe. But it's good to see you again. I hope this isn't the last time we see each other.
I can get you out of here.
Can you bring Yelena with me?
He'll look at Yelena thoughtfully and say, "Well, I can take one of you with me."
Where?
Back. The world.
I'll look at Sarah and be like, this hasn't changed my decision.
Hasn't changed mine, but you know what? I look around for Tara and not seeing her, I say, "Could you take him?" and gesture to Felix.
I'm not interested in Felix. I want you to come with me, Sarah. I need to speak to your father, and I think that you should be there too.
If you promise me I can shoot him at the end of it, I will happily go with you.
I can't
But
promise
you
that.
also, okay, can you at least promise to bring me back to her?
I can't promise that either.
I look at Yelena. What do you think?
I think I'll just like grab Sarah's hand and be like, whatever happens, as you said, we already had that 20 years, and I guess that'll probably happen all over again. So technically we have infinity together.
That's a really sweet way to look at it. And I'll lean in and give you a kiss and say, I'll try to come back.
Right. I hope you get what you need from him.
He's the one that is the one we can trust most, so I hope so too.
I meant your dad. I just wasn't gonna say that.
Oh, fuck him.
All right, we have to go. And Person will take your hand, Sarah, and start to lead you away.
I'll go with him.
All right. So he sort of leads you off the ballroom down one of the passages and chambers. It grows dark around you. We'll come back to you in a minute. Let's see. Yelena, you notice that the Phantom of Truth is hiding from the king behind you. He's kind of crouching down, trying to stay out of the king's line of vision. Felix, the king turns towards you and starts to lift his mask. What do you do?
I'll look at the ground and saying, Your Majesty, we are from Earth, but we have come to hear what you have to say.
His voice sort of, you hear it in your head more than you hear it in the world. But he says, "Then look upon my beautiful face and be transformed."
Mark, as a player, if you need to put Felix down, I'm cool with that. So yeah, do whatever you think is right. All right. Now Felix looks up and looks at the king in yellow. I can tick that off my RPG bucket list as well.
Okay. So he continues to lift the mask away, and you see that what is under his mask is everything that ever existed, everything that will ever exist. You experience for a moment an understanding that goes beyond anything that your studies prepared you for of the fundamental nature of light, its place in the universe, how it interacts with everything. Suddenly the universe makes sense for you in a way that it never had before, and the experience is just transcendentally beautiful. And then you're gone. Yelena, you see Felix disappear. You're the only one of the group still at the masquerade. The phantom is crouched awkwardly behind you. What do you do?
All right. Well, is the king's mask still like up?
No, he brings it back down.
Oh dang. Okay.
If you want to try and if the goal is to try and shoot while the mask's up, you can give it a try.
So I'm gonna, just without even looking, I'm just gonna like pull my gun out, shoot the phantom behind me, and then attempt to shoot the king while his mask is still up.
Okay, so this is interesting. The exact wording of your ability is that you can shoot any NPC that the GM has not given a name and backstory to without rolling.
Damn.
So the Phantom of Truth does not have a backstory, I think.
Oh.
So you shoot and kill the Phantom of Truth. The tuxedo falls empty on the ground. The King in Yellow, although not in the normal sense, does have both a name and a backstory. So you're going to have to roll for that one. So make a firearms check at -40. So you have to roll under your skill -40. Because that is a very narrow cold shot.
All right.
What is your firearms skill?
42.
Well,
all right. So on a
you've
roll,
got a whole
1 or
2%
2.
chance to end the king in yellow. That's more than most people get.
Let's see. Definitely not.
All right.
I would have if it wasn't for the -40 though.
The king makes a gesture, and his cloak, his tattered raiments, sort of ripple out across the room and engulf you briefly after you take the shot. There's a smell of cinnamon and dirt, and as the tattered robe falls away, you're no longer in a ballroom. You find yourself on a stage in the middle of a performance. There are other actors, other performers here, and a sort of silent, respectful audience. And you have the sense that it's your line. There's a sort of expectant feeling. Everyone is waiting to see what you will say or do. What do you say or do?
Who else is on stage with me?
I mean, nobody particularly that you recognize, but 3 other actors or whoever they are, all of them in costume, seemingly of the same design as your costume, although not particularly of Baba Yaga.
All right. Recite the Communist Manifesto. I think. Okay, I got one.
Love.
I think. Yelena will say, "No one is free until we're all free," and I'll shoot myself.
So, actually, you don't manage to say that. The words that come out of your mouth are garbled or nonsensical. And I think, let's see. If you're going to try and shoot yourself, someone else is going to try and stop you. So I think you're going to make opposed dex by 5 rolls to see whether you can get a shot off before they stop you.
Okay. Um, can we, also in the recording, can we just put a trigger warning for suicide? Maybe when the
Yeah,
video
I
is
will
played?
put that in the notes that go with it.
Okay, so rolling a dex by 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Trying to get high.
you're trying to
Below
get
that,
the
but high.
highest number under your score possible. Okay, a 7. So they're going to make a dex by 5 roll as well. And if they succeed with higher than a 7, they're going to beat you. But they will fail. So you get the shot
Nope.
off. And that is the end of Yelena's story. Let's see. I think it makes sense that we finish with Tara writing the play. So let's go back to Sarah. So, Sarah, as Person leads you through these corridors, do you, do you say or do anything? You can hear the fighting behind you, some gunshots, things like that.
Wow. You really know how to set the stage for a first date with a girl, don't you?
Yeah, you've always had a way with words. I'm sorry that I'm taking that away from you.
Excuse me?
So now as you try and speak, you find it hard to form words. Something seems to be happening to your tongue.
Person, what the hell's going on?
So now you can't form words at all. When you try and speak, there's a strange sort of sibilant hissing sound that comes out. And Person sort of lifts you from the ground. And you realize that you no longer have arms or legs, that your skin is covered in scales, that you've become a snake, and he slowly drapes you around his neck, opens a door, and emerges shortly before you were born in a room where he's meeting with your father, younger than you ever saw him before. And Person whispers quietly to you and just says, "Quiet now, Sarah. We've got a lot of work to do." And Tara,
Yes.
you wake up in a spot where you seem to have fallen asleep in your home, where you live with your family, in front of an old-fashioned typewriter. And you remember that you just finished writing a play that you had a strange dream about. What do you do?
I'm going to sit and kind of remember some of the dream a little bit in the way that you remember dreams. I'm sure with details slipping away.
Mm-hmm.
As waking comes. I'm going to take my freshly typewritten pages, and just you soon the camera sees me sort of just idly flicking through them, and I take out a big envelope and put it in there, and I write on it an address that doesn't exist. It looks like an address. It looks perfectly like a plausible address, but it's an address that I remember from my dream, and I have no reason to think that it's any place actually. But that's all right with me, because I'm pretty sure my manuscript is going to go wherever it needs to go.
So you're able to send the manuscript off You are reunited with your family, or at least with Millie and Juliet and Christian. But over the days and weeks ahead, you experience a growing conviction that you're never able to shake again, that all of your loved ones have been replaced by actors, and that the people around you are not truly who they say that they are.
I'm easier with that than I might have been otherwise. Because there's one thing that I remember from the dream. All of the details are blurry. But I remember that I remember creating the world. And so, in a way, I'm an actor too.
All right.
And so I say my lines and I try to live the life that I have written for myself and for everyone else as just as well and as powerfully as I can. And for we are each other's audience, all of us who exist. We go out there and we portray the role that we've been given. And if we all try our very best, then the world goes on in the way that it was supposed to.
So that is the end of our Impossible Landscapes campaign. Normally at this point, I would invite us to wrap it up with epilogues about what happens to your characters next, but for many of you, there is no answer to that question. I would still at least like to offer you the opportunity, if you'd like, to narrate an epilogue, either about what happens to your character afterwards or about what happens to someone who cared about your character, something about the way the world reacts to their loss, or something, a lasting influence they have, anything along those lines that any of you would like to share. Does anyone have an epilogue that they want to share?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's start with Tara.
Tara does two things which are she does a very unusual thing. And the thing is that she has a pays what would be most appropriate? A university. One that's existed a long time. The perhaps University of Massachusetts at Boston. And she pays to have a plaque dedicated in the garden, which has 3 names on it, which are Sarah Bradford, Yelena Nasimov, and Felix Strassman.
Nice.
She, if anyone asks her, she says, these are some of the most important people in my life. Even though no one, close to me ever got a chance to meet them.
Nice. Mark and Felix, do either of you have an epilogue that you want to share? Sorry, I said Mark and Felix. I jumped between layers of reality again.
I do, but I'll let Blake go first. If he has something.
I don't know. I thought maybe Felix is in sort of 18th century France, and he's like, I want to. He's trying to get into this play, to be part of the production for this play, and they're like, "Who are you?" And it's like, I don't know. He doesn't sort of know who he is. He just knows he has to be part of this play production.
Tell me about, like, does he have a good life in 18th century France? Or is he, like, shot down in the chaos of the production?
Yeah, I think that.
All right, thank you. Mark, Yelena.
Yeah, I think after maybe a month or two, probably like a month, a couple of two people drive up to Sarah and Elena's place. They kind of like, jimmy the door open and just start collecting all of their things, like all of their research, all of the books, all of the copies of the King in Yellow, everything all of the murder board stuff that Sarah and Yelena had developed. Sort of pack it in boxes and drive off like a nondescript kind of black sedan. A couple of people in nondescript clothes, with distinctly, Eastern European facial features.
Nice. And Puckett, you said you don't want to share an epilogue?
I don't think there's really much of an epilogue to share.
All right.
Becoming the companion of a demon is maybe not the worst outcome.
And so we come to our end of sorts, a play that contains multitudes, all who died, all who live, all who yet shall, upon this stage with us forever. And that is Curtains on Impossible Landscapes. I'm going to